So there's a lot of different varieties of coffees that you could choose from that might be good for you to try out. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the differences in process, and I'm only going to really cover two. They're probably the most common. That's a natural coffee and a washed coffee. And I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of what that means. So what I've got here is the Burundi that I've been roasting. This is a washed coffee, and I've also got this Colombian coffee that I've been roasting. That's a natural coffee. If you tasted these, you'd see that there's quite a difference in their flavor profile. As a roaster, and I would consider myself a young roaster, right? I have not been doing this for long. I'd still consider myself a hobbyist compared to somebody that's a full-on professional roaster doing that as a career. I'm a little bit beyond the novice. When you're picking your coffees for your cafe, if you're trying to do a little bit of like what I'm doing, which is roast to sell and ship, then you want to have variety. You can't just be picking coffee that you only like. You have to kind of broaden your palate. You have to be willing to taste different things and try different things. So whenever I'm buying coffee, I'm always looking to see, how do I fill the holes? So right now I've got a geisha coffee from Honduras, I've got a Uganda coffee, I've got an Ethiopian coffee, I've got a Colombian coffee, and I've got a Burundi. 3 African beans, I've got some South American beans, and I've got some Central American beans. You want to have that variety because that variety gives you something to do with your clients, right? With your customers. Let's cover these a little bit. I'm gonna show you guys what a washed coffee looks like as opposed to a natural coffee. And then I'll kind of explain what are the differences in terms of processing. What we've got here is a natural coffee, and here this is the washed coffee. And you'll notice that the washed coffee it's almost like the color of my shirt, right? It's brighter, it's cleaner looking. It doesn't have kind of all these blotchy, kind of what look like almost burnt marks on it. This is the wash. Over here, we've got the natural coffee, and this one almost looks like a little bit dirty. It looks like this is not as good. This one's really dark. This one's kind of brown. This one's kind of green like a washed coffee. So it's almost like, why would I want this? It doesn't look like it's any good. The difference between a natural coffee and a washed coffee is that a washed coffee, when you pull the coffee cherry off of a tree, when you're doing a washed coffee, you basically almost immediately remove the hull, whether it be the skin of it and then the actual meat of the cherry. You just wash all of it off. What you end up with is a very clean looking bean. And in terms of the flavor profile of something like this, the way people would describe it is very, very clean, right? It would be a coffee that has a lot of crisp flavors to it. This is very generic, but in general, this is what you can expect, a washed coffee. Often also very easy to roast. Simpler oftentimes I find than a natural coffee, because there hasn't been like an addition to anything to it. Whereas with the natural coffee, the way in which a natural coffee is processed is all of those cherries are picked off the tree, they're laid out in the sun, and there's this fermentation process that starts to happen. And now every single grower, every farm or processing plant has a different strategy around it in order to pull out the best or the most unique flavors from the beans. It soaks, let's say, in the sun for a day or two, it ferments slightly, and then they wash it. And what happens is you get, instead of having that clean green coffee, you have this coffee that almost looks dirty. It looks like it's got brown ones and charred parts and whatever, and that's from the sun kind of fermenting the fruit of the cherry, and then a lot of that gets imparted into the bean itself, and then when you wash it off, that's what you see that's left. Why do we worry about this? Why do we talk about this in the specialty coffee world? Because oftentimes all of these different ways in which we process a coffee imparts a lot of flavor in the bean, and allows you to basically find a profile of bean that gives you a little bit of variety within your cafe or within the roasting business. But your job as a roaster is to expose the full potential of whatever the cued grade is. A Q grader is basically like a sommelier in the wine business. A Q grader is in the coffee business. Q grader will taste this coffee, roasted oftentimes at the farm or at whoever's importing, will roast and then Q grade it, and anything that's over 80 is considered specialty coffee. So the higher it is, the better oftentimes. So let's say a Q grader graded this at an 89, this Burundi. Now it's my job to reach that flavor profile. And that's what these videos are. That's what I do. I'm trying to get as much out of this coffee as I possibly can. I could burn the beans, right? Just like if I had a really good ribeye steak, prime cut, blah, all the good stuff, and I cook it on the grill and I burn it, well, it's going to taste just like any kind of cheap piece of steak. So if I burn this coffee or if I ruin this coffee, it's going to taste just like any other generic junk coffee. But if I do it right, and if I take my time, and if I create a recipe, a profile around this coffee, then I can really bring out the maximum amount of flavor from this coffee. And that's what roasters do. I hope this video helped you. Like I said, if you want to taste any of my coffee, feel free to reach out to me. You can buy coffee right off the website, ocdcoffeeclub.com. You could also email me, rob@ocdcoffeeclub.com, if you have questions or if you're interested in getting a roaster like this one. I'm happy to help you out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions.